Reel me in to get it going, open me up. Sweet talking like you mean it, but you're making it so complicated. Every time I get too close, you push me away.
Everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization. Welcome back to another Sophisticated Saturday, where together we work through my to-do list and get things done around the house. Today's version of our Sophisticated Saturday is basically going to be me prepping dinner and everything I can get done in between the dinner prep. So I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. You can see that I have a lot of ingredients out here already. We are making pizza and a little salad for dinner. So I need to get the dough made first because it needs to rise for at least 30 minutes. I like to let it rise a little bit longer. And then I'm gonna do some cleaning while the dough rises, head back, pop in and do some more work on the pizza, and you'll see everything if you stick around for the rest of the video. But I will make sure to put in the description box the recipe for my favorite pizza dough. You'll see I'm adding basil and garlic powder to it, so it has really nice flavor to it, and I have never screwed it up. It's so simple to make, and homemade pizza is just delicious. I love mixing up the different toppings to put on there, and you just can't go wrong with this recipe. So if you've never made pizza at home, or especially made a dough from scratch, give this one a try. Like I said, it's very easy and a crowd pleaser for dinner. It's one of Jim's favorites. I always double the recipe. I do this with basically everything I cook. So many of you make comments about how much food I make for dinner when I share photos on Instagram of what I make for dinner, because I do like to try to share all of the different recipes I'm cooking just to share the recipes, and I think it's kind of fun. But I do that because my husband eats a lot of food. I eat a fair amount of food as well, and then we take advantage of leftovers a lot of times. I now have been packing lunches for Owen to take to school and give him leftovers that we have. He also eats the same dinner that we do, so he'll be having pizza with us tonight, and then the next day for lunch we can have leftover pizza, which is really nice that I don't have to make something special for lunch. Jim, when he's at work, doesn't have to go out and purchase something and spend a lot of money. So that's just the way that I like to cook. We don't mind leftovers, so I cook large batches so we can enjoy a big meal at dinner and then still have leftovers for the next day. Now that the dough is rising, I am going to work from the top down, and starting in my bedroom, I have some clothing that needs to be put away because if you haven't noticed or haven't seen my last video, I just announced that I am pregnant. So I had pulled out all of my maternity clothing because maybe a little bit difficult to tell, maybe not at all, maybe it is very easy to tell, but I have a bump that is definitely bumping at this point, so I need maternity clothing out. So I pulled all of that down and I'm just putting it away into my closet as well as putting it away into my dresser. So I have clothing that actually fits me and is comfortable for me to wear right now. If you didn't watch my most recent video, I will link it in the cards here if you want to see it. I talk about finding out that I'm pregnant. I share the gender there, show some clips of when I was finding out that I was pregnant because I didn't know that I was pregnant, as well as sharing with Jim. So it's kind of a fun video if you are interested in that. Now that the bedroom is all cleaned up, I am into the laundry room, which was a disaster. I just had things out of place, and it's great timing to take advantage of that dough rising and pick up as many things as I possibly can. So I'm just putting stuff away. I had the carpet spot cleaner out because there was a spot on our carpet that I cleaned up. Jim had the iron out because he was ironing something for work, and so I put that away. I had washed a load of rags and hadn't folded them yet. I do that on the weekends a lot, so I did wash those earlier in the day and still hadn't gotten to folding them, so I'm going to quickly fold all of the microfiber cloths that I have. Again, the blue ones that I use mostly are available on my website. They are a Sophisticated Organization microfiber cloths, so you can always find those there. Next up, I just pulled out of the dryer because it finished up, was Owen's load of laundry. So I'm going to sit on his nursery floor, which is usually where I fold his laundry, and start to sort and fold all of that. I'm making different piles as I go. I have a pile that I'm throwing towards the closet. That's stuff I'm gonna hang up. And then at this age, they sell a lot of clothing that's like short and t-shirt sets, and I really like the matching sets just because it makes it really easy for him to get dressed. So I'm folding all of those together and then making a separate pile of individual items like his solo shorts and just shirts that don't have a matching set to them. And that's the way I organize it in the dresser. So that's the way I fold it on the floor. Try and make it very simple for myself so I can transfer those piles exactly how they are on the floor. You'll see I'm really focusing on those short and t-shirt piles, and then other things I'm just throwing in a pile. So I have a pile in front of me of all of his pajamas, which I'll fold in a second. I threw his crib sheet over the edge of the crib, and then that pile by the closet is growing as well as we continue going. And then I am leaving socks where they are in the pile of all of the clean clothing. So those will be what's left over, and then I can just pair all of the socks together really easily.
Every day I feel the love. I feel the love. I hope it never goes away. I feel the love.
Pretty much everything's folded. I stood up so I could start putting stuff away into the dresser. Like I said, those piles fit perfectly right into the spots of the dresser. I have drawer dividers in there to make sure everything doesn't flop over, and I do like to file fold his clothing just the same way that I do mine. I have a couple of shirts there that need some stain treatment, so I'm going to take those back, and then a few socks that didn't have the match to their pair. I'm pretty sure they're still in the washing machine because I also left 2 of his sleep sacks that needed to dry a little bit more in the dryer, so I'll have to head back to the laundry room and grab those and hopefully find the match to those socks. But before I do that, I'm going to fold the pajamas. And pajamas I keep in a separate drawer on the left-hand side of the dresser, so I'm just going to fold those, and I like to have those in 2 separate piles. One pile of his zippered footy pajamas and another pile of his separates that are pants and shirts. He's getting to the point where he's probably going to start growing out of the zippered style. I know when kids start potty training and stuff, it's a little bit easier not to have them in those zippered pajamas. So this is probably the last size that we'll purchase the zipper pajamas in, but for now they're so cute and very easy to get on and off for us when we're getting him in his pajamas and out of his pajamas.
Take it away, feeling too good to me. Chilling all day, all in your space is where I wanna be.
Then the last category was that pile I had on the floor of things that I want to hang up. I do that for a little bit of nicer outfits as well as his one-piece rompers. I don't have a true definitive way of deciding what I hang and what I don't, but I know mentally where things are. So I hung those things up and his room is all done. So now I can move downstairs. And the big thing I needed to clean today was the living room. The toy disaster was as bad as it pretty much gets. It seemed like we hadn't cleaned it up in a while. So I'm putting all of the stuff in those bins that he has there on the floor, which need to go away into the units that we have on either side of the TV. He has his little golf club everywhere. Our pillows were all over the place. But the one thing I really wanted to share with you today is we got a new Love Every toy. And if you've watched my channel before, you know that we love the Love Every play kits. Those are a subscription-based service where they send toys to your home and they're perfectly curated to your child's age. So it's kind of a no-brainer with what toys are developmentally appropriate for your kid. And it just takes all of the guesswork out of buying toys that you know are going to be educational and help your child with their fine motor skills and all of that. So we have loved the Love Every play kits, but we've also discovered that they have some individual items that you can purchase from their website. One of the ones that we used all through babyhood was their play gym. That's one of our favorite products from them, but we just got their block set, which is meant for kids 18 months and over, and Owen is just 18 months. So we pulled out this block set and I am blown away by all of the different things that you can do with it. You can tell from that guide there are 20 plus learning and developmental activities that they share with you and all of the different things that you can build with these blocks. Of course, you can let your kid just go wild and build whatever they want, but they give you some fun ideas, which is fun to work through with your child. There's 70 different blocks in so many fun colors, 18 different shapes. You can turn the box into a car like I showed, or you can put the top on there with the shapes so they can work on sticking different shapes into the top of the box. And I know I was struggling to fit everything back into the box there, but they also have a drawstring bag that it comes with, so you can pour all of the blocks in there as well and not have to worry about fitting it all back perfectly into the box. But I know I talk about the play kits as one of my favorite must-haves for kids' toys, and you could just have those toys and that's it. But the block set is a great addition to those. It would also make a really great gift as a one-off thing because it is such a high quality set of blocks. So I'll leave a link in the description box to both the play kits and to the block set if you're interested. In the kitchen, I had a little bit of decanting to do because I went to the grocery store earlier in the day. I had some quinoa I poured in there as well as refilling my avocado oil. And then we are going to start chopping some lettuce for the salad. This is literally just because it's leftovers. We had some lettuce that I needed to use up. I had used it for a previous meal. I honestly can't even remember what it was for, but I needed to come up with a creative way to use it again. And this isn't very creative, but was just gonna make a quick salad. And my way of elevating the salad a little bit was to make some crispy chickpeas. Again, just looking at things that I already have that I wanna use up and not trying to go out and buy more ingredients. And we had canned chickpeas, so it's a pretty easy thing to do. They're great for snacking on, but also fun to throw into a salad if you've never done that before. All you need to do is drain and rinse your chickpeas. I'm doing 2 cans so I can have some for a snack and some for in the salad. And the most important thing you can do is really dry them out. If they're wet, they won't crisp up as much. So you want to lay them on a towel, whether it's a paper towel or a tea towel or a dishcloth of some sort, and just try and get them as dry as you can. Some of the skins might fall off, which is fine, and also actually makes it a little bit crispier. And then the key is just to put it in some basic cooking oil, either an avocado oil or an olive oil, and just salt it and roast it in the oven. And roast it in the oven, I will leave a link to a basic recipe on how to do this as well. And then you can add some flavored seasonings after you have cooked it. The recipe that I used does mention that if you put other seasonings on it before you put it in the oven, that can impact the crispiness as well. So if you saw, I just carried a Target bag into the kitchen. That's because our refrigerator broke, and the refrigerator we have in the kitchen is no longer functioning. It is high 50 degrees in there, and a refrigerator At least our refrigerator recommends that it should be at 37 degrees. So way too hot in our refrigerator, and we've decided that since we don't love it anyway, I've never loved it. It's a side by side. It just constantly feels like I can't fit things in either side. And it is on the smaller side for cubic feet. We have a little bit more room to work with in the space that we have. So we went out and looked for new refrigerators. I think we found one that we liked. I'm crossing my fingers that it's not too big for the space. It's gonna fit width-wise and height-wise, but depth-wise, I'm worried it's gonna stick out a little bit and might look kind of silly. They have a money-back guarantee and will return and take back the fridge if they get it on site and it doesn't fit in your space or doesn't look good in your space. They just take it right back. So we're willing to take that risk, and then we just pick out a different one. But we are waiting a week and a half for our refrigerator, so I am carrying things back and forth and up and down the stairs a lot using our refrigerator that's in the basement.
La 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 la, la 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 la. On the flip side.
You'll see my dough has rised. I've cut up all of the ingredients that I'm going to use for the 2 pizzas I'm making, and going to flour my work surface and roll out the pizza. I always, when I make pizzas, do 2 different pizzas just because it's nice to have a variety. I like making really adventurous pizzas. I like doing stuff like a barbecue chicken pizza. There was a summer pizza that I have a recipe for that has peaches on it, which I thought was really good. There's a roasted eggplant pizza I've made before that I really like, but Jim's favorites are always just a basic red sauce and a pesto one, so that's what we're going to be doing today. And I try to pair the ingredients with what I think works better for a red sauce and what I think works better for pesto sauce, but I kind of just wing it and end up doing very similar ingredients on both. But before I start putting those ingredients on, you'll see that I am putting the pizzas in the oven first. This is par baking them because I find that, first of all, I overload pizza toppings like crazy, which you'll see in a moment. But I think it's helpful to bake it in the oven a little bit first. You'll see I use my fork and stab a few little holes in there so it doesn't puff up a bunch. It stays nice and flat in the oven. It has some air pockets there. And I just cook it enough so the dough isn't as soft and squishy. So once I add my pizza sauce and all of my toppings, it doesn't get as soggy in the middle and helps it to cook a little bit better. It's just, I've tried this so many different times and the par baking works way better. Trust me, give it a try this way, even though the recipe doesn't necessarily say to do that. On the red sauce marinara pizza, I am using fresh mozzarella and lots of it. I used almost the whole log. This is the first time I'm adding fresh jalapenos on there because, again, I had a few jalapenos in the refrigerator. Didn't have another recipe where I was planning to use them, and Jim and I both really like jalapenos. He really likes them on pizza, so I did it on half because I figure we shouldn't be giving jalapenos to Owen because they are quite spicy. And then I'm also putting some little onions on there, spreading those around, some big tomato slices. You can tell what I'm talking about, how I completely overload the toppings, and you'll see I am going to continue overloading with basically a million turkey pepperonis. For you a sip, I was so high, but remember it. I know right, that these are just feelings, but these ones they feel like the heat for just one reason. The red sauce one is in the oven. I just grabbed those chickpeas out, and we are going to start with the pesto one. There was a ton of oil at the top, so I poured out a little bit. This is my favorite pesto from Costco. Cannot find another grocery store pesto that I like, whether it's in the refrigerated section or in the just canned jar regular section. I think this is the only pesto that I like. And you'll see I'm like sniffing the cheeses here and tasting them because some of these cheeses were in our refrigerator that died, and I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting a bunch of bad mozzarella cheese onto pizza because that would stink if I just made this lovely pizza and the cheese was bad. So I tasted it, it tasted okay. I loaded up a bunch of shredded mozzarella and a few of those fresh mozzarella slices just because I had a few extras. I only had a couple of tomato slices here, and then I had some chicken sausage that I put on here, more of the onions, and that is about it. So we are going to enjoy dinner. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you all later.
Slide on me,